the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama.
Top 5 best and worst draft picks in the 2023 NFL Draft. Number 5 best, Will Levis, quarterback, Tennessee Titans. Coming out of Kentucky, Levis' game had a lot of upside. His rocket arm and solid frame had him in some people's top 5, but he also had a lot of downside, like his pocket awareness and reads. In college at least, he seemed like his football IQ wasn't always there, and he would have most likely been a project QB but had a lot of potential. But despite all that, he was projected at least first round, but he slipped all the way down to the second round, going 33rd overall to the Tennessee Titans. This was an absolute steal for the Titans, who received an A- draft grade. It's time for a new QB in Tennessee, and it looks like Levis will be the answer. But don't expect him to play right away, for he might sit a year or two behind Ryan Tannehill. Number 5 was Lee Smith, defensive tackle, Dallas Cowboys. It makes sense that the Cowboys would want a big-bodied nose tackle to help improve their run defense in 2022. Smith, who is 6'3" and weighs 323 pounds, fits that description but was taken a little earlier than anticipated. Smith was ranked at 35 on the consensus big board of the mock draft database, although SN's Vinny Iyer had him at 57. Why? Smith is a tremendous run stuffer, but he's not a very good pass rusher. In his 3 years at Michigan, he only registered 0.5 sacks, so it's reasonable to wonder whether his pass rushing abilities will advance to the next level. He just needs to work on improving his technique and quickness. Number 4, Tyree Wilson, defensive end, Las Vegas Raiders. This dude is a beast. He's 6'6" 275 and intimidating as hell. He was projected by most places in the top 5, but he fell to 7. The Raiders got what they needed the most out of this pick. The only thing that's wrong with him is the angle of his ankle while taking pursuits. This can cause major ankle injuries, but that's really an easy fix with good coaching, and most likely will not affect his play much. Really not much to say. Great pick for the Raiders. Number 4, worst, Will McDonald, edge, New York Jets. It was widely believed that the Jets would select an offensive lineman with their first round choice. Trading down from 13 to 15 in the Aaron Rodgers deal ultimately cost them a lot, as the Steelers were able to surpass them and select Broderick Jones, the final of the top 3 offensive tackles. At pick no 40, the Jets changed course to focus on Will McDonald as a result. Over the course of his 5 years with the Cyclones, the Iowa State product had a fruitful career, recording 35 sacks. Teams admired his athletic prowess and ability to bend around the edge on film, which allowed him to develop into a strong pass rusher at the next level. McDonald's tiny 6'4", 239-pound physique, which was anticipated to cause him to fall to the second round, so the Jets reached selecting him at 15th overall. The NFL mock draft database's consensus big board had McDonald ranked 34th overall, while Lesson had McDonald as its 52nd ranked prospect. That puts him in the running for the biggest reach of the first round. Number 3, best, Nolan's an edge, Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles killed this draft. They stole Nolan Smith with the 30th pick in the draft. Smith was projected 12th by the Texans, but they traded up, so he fell to 30th, but still a major steal for the Eagles. The only thing with him is his size, but his quickness can make up for that. It seemed like the Eagles' draft plan was to just draft the Georgia Bulldogs, which turned out to be a really good strategy. In my opinion, the Eagles had the best draft class this year. Number 3 was Will Forbes, cornerback, Commanders. It wasn't entirely unexpected to see him go in the first 20 picks of the draft. The Patriots selected Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback, one selection after Forbes, which came as a surprise because Gonzalez had been mocked more frequently than Forbes prior to the draft. Gonzalez came in at number 6 on SN's big board and number 7 on the consensus big board, while Forbes came in at number 44 and number 31, respectively. By such standards, Forbes was a moderate reach, but the fact that he was chosen before Gonzalez, who was losing ground, makes his pick even more problematic. There are many things to enjoy about Forbes, even though he wasn't the finest investment for the Commanders. During his 3 seasons at Mississippi State, he had 14 interceptions and should be a ball hawk in the NFL. He just needs to fill out his 166-pound frame a bit more to avoid durability and physicality concerns. Even if Forbes does perform well, he will naturally be compared to Gonzalez during his NFL career. It will be interesting to see if the Commanders ultimately made the right choice in their search for a top defensive back. Number 2, best, Christian Schultz, cornerback, Patriots. While they stole him from the Commanders, who made a choice with Emmanuel Forbes, they also completely screwed the Jets, a division rival. They let the Steelers move up to no. 14. Pittsburgh could then add the top offensive tackles left on the board, Georgia's Broderick Jones, to its roster. In turn, that kept one of the top offensive tackles off the New York Jets roster. The Jets were picking 15th overall after moving back a few spots due to their blockbuster acquisition of Aaron Rodgers. Offensive line was a huge need for the Jets entering the draft, and it was clear that was the direction that New York wanted to go on Thursday night. But the Steelers also needed line help, and the Patriots opened a door for them to leapfrog the Jets and take the best tackle left on the board. Jones was the 4th tackle taken in the first 14 picks, and another one didn't go until the Jags drafted Anton Harrison at no 28. The Jets seemed flustered after Pittsburgh's selection. They ended up drafting edge rusher Will McDonald out of Iowa State, who wasn't even projected to go in the first round. Number 2, Bijan Robinson, running back, Atlanta Falcons. This one is more of the team and less of the player. If the Falcons didn't select Robinson with the 8th pick, it's most likely that the Eagles would have taken him with the 9th pick because they didn't have DeAndre Swift yet. The Falcons frankly suck. They had way more holes to fill other than running back. And first-round running backs usually don't work out, especially when you have an offensive line like the Falcons. The Eagles could have taken Robinson though because they have one of the best offensive lines in the league. Overall, the pick just didn't make sense for the Falcons. No hate on Robinson because I think he's a good player, but the Falcons screwed this pick up. Number 1, Jalen Carter, defensive tackle, Philadelphia Eagles. You shouldn't really be surprised with this one. I think Carter is a top 3 player in this draft. He was projected 3rd but fell to 9th because of a car accident he was involved in that killed 2 people, including one of Carter's teammates from Georgia. And he was out of shape for the combine. Yes, he has some off-the-field issues, but if he can recover from the trauma and get back into shape, he could easily be the next great defensive lineman in the league. Like I said before, the Eagles completely destroyed this draft and just added the best defensive player in this draft on that superstar Eagles D-line. Number 1, worst, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back, Detroit Lions. Gibbs was a totally unexpected early first-round selection in the 2023 NFL Draft. On the first day of the draft, many predicted that the Alabama running back would be taken late in the first round. Instead, he gained entry to the top 12 after the Lions traded down to select him from the 6th to the 12th spot. Gibbs has skill, that much is clear. He finished his lone season at Alabama with 1,370 scrimmage yards and 10 touchdowns on 195 touches, ranking 2nd on the offense after quarterback Bryce Young. He will provide the Lions with a workhorse back with abilities comparable to Alvin Kamara's. Nevertheless, Gibbs' consensus ranking on the NFL mock draft database was 29th overall. As such, it was probably a little early for Gibbs, especially considering the lack of position value in selecting a round 1 running back. The main thing that I don't like about this pick is that they just drafted him for no reason. They didn't need a running back. DeAndre Swift is, I think, the better back, and they just traded him for a worse, more inexperienced running back. I just don't see the logic in this pick. That wraps up the first video on the channel, so if you have any video ideas or something we can improve, just comment down below. Sports Hub Unlimited out.